Well, it's time to do the impossible after week 6 and make predictions on all these games. How are we going to do it for week 7? Well, let's go ahead and dive right into them. So I figured I would give you guys a quick little update where we stand right now before heading into these predictions. It looks like first place right now is David at 61 and 32, followed by me at 60 and 33, followed by PDF at 59 and 34, and HD at 57 and 36. Trailing out the end is NFL Delivery, who is at 50 and 43 on the year. So let's go ahead and get into these Week 7 predictions and see where the shuffle's going to be next week. So we're going to start things off with Thursday Night Football. The Jacksonville Jaguars at the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome. This one's going to be a fun one because the Jaguars have been one of the hottest teams in the league right now, coming up from next to nothing. Meanwhile, the Saints are trying to save their season and prove that they are legitimate contenders this year. That being said, me and PDF are taking the Saints. David, HD, and Red are NFL Delivery, all taking the Jaguars on this one. I was about ready to pick the Jags, but I think it's time for them to cool off for a game, and the Saints are a bit hungry after the last week of football. Up next, we have the Detroit Lions going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, and let's just be frank here, the Ravens are solid, but the Lions are good. There's a difference between solid and good. When a solid team plays a good team is going to prevail 95% of the time, and we all got the Lions across the board on this one. Up next, we have the Las Vegas Raiders at the Chicago Bears, and once again, just like last game, whenever you have a team against another team, the Bears are a really garbage team, the Raiders are a semi-garbage team. When a semi-garbage team plays a very garbage team, the semi-garbage team is going to prevail 95% of the time. So likewise, we all have the Raiders across the board on this one. Up next, we have the Cleveland Browns going to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Now, this game would have been very fun to watch had Anthony Richardson been in it, but no, we're stuck with Gardner Minshew the rest of the season because, well, quite frankly, Anthony Richardson needs surgery, and the cycle of the Colts is continuing of ruining good prospective quarterbacks because of injury. Now, that being said, we all have the Browns across the board on this one because, well, let's be frank. The Colts have struggled, and the Browns just beat the frickin' Niners. Up next, we have the Buffalo Bills going to take on the collapsing Roman Empire of Bill Belichick and his Patriots. Man, this game, we would love it to be close, and it could be a lot closer than we expect, but I think the Bills got a big wake-up call last week. We all did, and the Patriots kind of frankly suck, and they don't really have an answer at quarterback. So once again, we are all together on this one, this time on the Bill. Up next, we got a game that I am lone wolfing. The Washington Commanders at the New York Giants. This game going to be a very fun one to watch, as the Commanders have been a team that has been known this season to play down to bad competition after playing up to amazing competition. On paper, the Commanders should easily have this victory, but the Commanders tend to play down. The Giants just played the game of their lives last week, and Tyrod Taylor did pretty solid against that Bills defense. That being said, the Commanders' defense is nowhere near as strong, so I am lone wolfing the Giants on this one, whereas everyone else taking the Commanders, probably the smart choice to do in this one, but I wanted to shake it up and get a little lone wolf in there. Speaking of lone wolves, we have back-to-back lone wolves. This one for PDF lone wolfing, the Atlanta Falcons against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are the way better team on paper. They had a bad week last week and they looked atrocious, yes, but the Falcons have struggled against real opponents. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers, they struggled against opponents that are good. They have been solid in the NFC, which has been a weaker conference. They are 3-2 for a reason. They are playing well against the bad teams, like the Falcons. So that being said, the rest of us have the Buccaneers across the board, except PDF, lone wolfing the Falcons. Up next, we got a fun game that I'm looking forward to watching here. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Los Angeles Rams, because the Rams offense this year has been fairly solid, but they might be without two of their top running backs. They might be out without Ronnie Rivers and potentially Kyren Williams, which would be two big losses for this team. Really not looking forward to that. And a lot of people are saying that the Steelers will come out of the bye week white hot. And quite frankly, I can see it. Matt Canada is coaching to put on a display for other teams. He knows he's out of Pittsburgh this year. But he's going to try to put on a display offensively to say, hey, other teams that need an offensive coordinator, take me so I can ruin your franchise. That being said, we all have the Rams across the board, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think. Up next, we have the Arizona Cardinals going to Seattle to take on the 12th men and the Seahawks. And man, we thought the Cardinals were actually decent at the beginning of the season. Oh boy, were we wrong on that one. Man, Arizona was just playing up at the beginning of games, and they play about 30 minutes each week. They don't play a full 60. Seattle will stay in until the end. Yes, they lost last week, and it was a bad game on both fronts for both teams. But Seattle still should be the better team over Arizona, and with it being in Seattle, we all have the Seahawks, except for PDF lone wolfing again, this time lone wolfing the Cardinals. Up next, we have the Green Bay Packers going into Denver to take on the Broncos. This game going to be an interesting one, as the Packers are trying to push their way back into it, and the Broncos, quite frankly, have sucked. Broncos country, let's ride. Okay, where are we riding to? The glue factory? That sounds like where we're going. That being said, Denver does not have a lot going for it. Green Bay at least has optimism with Jordan Love. So we all got the Packers on this one, going with the optimism, although the Broncos could very well pull this one out. Up next, we have a big one. The Los Angeles Chargers going to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Now, after last week, yeah, none of us have faith in the Chargers against a weak defense of Dallas. We all got the Chiefs on this one, especially because of the Taylor effect. The refs are not going to let the Chiefs lose to the lowly Chargers. So, yeah, we all got the Chiefs. Up next, we have Sunday Night Football. Miami Dolphins, Philadelphia Eagles. Let's see how this plays out. Now, this is going to be an interesting one to watch, as the Eagles, they have not really been a great team offensively this year. They have been a lot to be desired. The Dolphins are really white hot on offense. This should be a no-brainer, but David decides to pick the Eagles for some reason, which, could happen, but let's all be real here. The rest of us have the Dolphins because the Dolphins are just going to wreck house. And last but not least, because we have a lot of teams on bye, we have a whopping 6 teams on bye. The Panthers, Texans, Cowboys, Titans, Jets, and Bengals. The last game here is the 49ers at the Vikings. This game on paper looked to be a great game at the start of the year, but now it's just going to be how many points can the 49ers win by, because they got beat up last week. They are not going to get beat up again, and it's against the Vikings, who don't really play well. We all have the Niners, except for NFL Delivery taking the Vikings for some reason, maybe because it's home and the Niners just got embarrassed. But at the same time, yeah, we all got the Niners apart from him, and it should just be a fairly straightforward blowout. Well, that's about going to do it for me today. If you guys did like, don't forget to smash like and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments below who you got winning this week. I want to hear what you guys have to say, and I will get back to all of you who leave a comment. And also, make sure if you haven't already, smash subscribe, because it does help us out a whole lot. And we do cover games live every week on this channel, so ringing the bell also will allow you to be notified whenever we go live. And also, if you haven't already, check out our Power Rankings video down here to see what we think of every team in the top 10 in the league. And I guess with that, I will see you guys later. Peace out and have a good one.